All right. Hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. And we got a special guest. He's calling Viva our phone, and his name is Steve Ager, and we're going to talk to him about his music and this phenomenal song he wrote about Greenville. And we're going to be able to see the video that he did or performed in. And he'll talk a little bit about that also before we start that up. And I hope you're going to enjoy it. We've got Brian Harris here also. You've seen Brian here with us at a couple times. And I think he knows about everything you can think of about music. And it'd be hard to stump him, I tell you that. And so we're going to come right back here after just a minute. I've just got to do a couple little things here. And Ellie Bell is our sponsor for this week, and we're going to flash over and listen to his act.
That sweet aroma, bold and beautiful, I can hardly wait to taste. Early morning, something wonderful is about to make my day.
I love coming here and getting the Amazing Grace coffee, which is delicious, with my friend Barbara Rickey.
I just enjoy coming in here at Ellie Bell's Cafe to get my drink. It is delicious, the atmosphere is great, and Philip is a very, very nice person to everyone when they come in.
And by the way, I don't know about you all, but I love coming to Ellie Bell for coffee and for having our class. What about you?
Awesome. I do too.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to...
I think I'm addicted to the hot chocolate.
I'm addicted to the coffee. Great coffee.
Energize me, come and wake me up. I will wait upon you, Lord. You revive me, come and fill my cup. I want more and more. Give me a good cup of coffee. Give me a word that rocks me.
All right, we're back, and we're getting ready to talk. Let me throw Brian's face up here where you'll see him. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Well, that's good. Did you have a good day at school today?
I had a wonderful day at school.
Yeah. So Brian teaches high school here in Union, and also, like I said, he's got a collection of music that I don't think there's any music stores right here has got as much music and videos you got.
Yeah, my own private store at home.
Yeah, have you ever done a count?
No, I have not. But I know it's got to be way up in the thousands. Way up.
Way up in the thousands. Well, that has to be. It has to be. All right, and we're going to be talking to Steve Ager. And Steve, how you doing?
Hey, Jerry, great. Thanks for having me on today. Looking forward to talking to you all.
Well, I know you're a very, very, very busy man. You kind of like myself. We get a lot of things, and Steve, where I met you at, I actually seen one of your, I guess, your yard concert at your house. I seen a part of it someone put on there. I said, man, that would be pretty neat. So and come down and did a video. What gave you the brainstorm of doing this in your yard?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a great question, and I never get tired of answering that question, Jerry. We started when COVID hit 3 years ago. It was right around April when I work in a church. I lead music at a small church out in Greer, and we, like most other churches in the area, were shut down for several months. And that first Sunday, it was one of the first Sundays anyway. It was Easter Sunday. I think it had shut down a few weeks before that, but we thought we'd be back in by Easter, and then of course, everything happened that happened. And so I went out in the front yard that day with just me and my keyboard, and I think I kind of embarrassed my wife a little bit, but I just sang Easter songs, kind of sacred Christian Easter songs on my keyboard and my speakers. And it was just one of those things. I have pretty good speakers, and so it went out into the community, and it was just kind of my way of kind of providing some positivity and reminding people what the day was all about. And so we had a few people kind of drop by and walk by as I was singing and playing in the front yard. And over the coming weeks, it just opened up some other opportunities. And I started doing it on Friday night as well. And people, again, would come by, and I'd start to ask other musicians if they wanted to join me. And pretty soon we had a violist, then we had a cellist, then we had a drummer, then we had a guitarist and another vocalist, and a mandolin, and all sorts of really great stuff. And we started doing pop music. We would mix in a lot of pop music, and I'm classically trained musician, so I would do pop versions of classical songs that I would arrange. And it really worked out well because we have musicians that have played with orchestras all over. A couple of them are major members with the Greenville Symphony, and others have traveled around and recorded classical music. And so they were really great at that. And pretty soon on those Friday nights that we were doing these shows, they were free in our front yard. And I upgraded my sound system and everything, so we got a really great sound going. And pretty soon, before you knew it, Jerry, we had cars parked up and down the road. We had several hundred people that would come and sit in lawn chairs or on blankets in the front yard. And we would just do an hour and 15-minute concert. And just like I said, a huge variety of music. And week after week, people would come. Because at that time, nothing else was open. Everything was shut down. All the concert venues were shut down. We were kind of the only gig in town, and people would sit in their cars, or they would sit on top of their cars, or like I said, in their lawn chairs. And it was just something that we continued even after we realized this was such a great area. The way our house is situated really is terrific for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I know. I was really shocked about how many people was there. I mean, it was just like, just a big, huge concert. And
yeah, I mean, we had hundreds of people that were there. And so we kind of thought when COVID slowed down that, maybe this might kind of peter out. But then we kept doing it like at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. And it opened up opportunities to do it at other places too. Of course, we've, been to Spartanburg and Lawrence and all sorts of places in between, sometimes indoor, but a lot of outdoor stuff. And we ended up making our front yard just a regular concert venue. The last one we did was just a couple of weeks ago. And again, one of our largest crowds yet. Sometimes we have food trucks. We're going to be doing one this Friday as well. And it's just been one of those things where we've really developed a large number of people, kind of a following of people that are coming all the time, inviting their friends. And it's as big now as it's ever been.
Well, music,
and it's been a really great opportunity.
Right. Music really touches people in different ways and different things. I know Brian does some singing too, and I thought it was neat the way that when he teaches math and geometry right now, and he told me a story about your students, if they got certain right, that you would sing to them. Is that?
Yeah, about a decade ago, I was teaching middle school there in Greenville, and we reached a place where the kids at that point in time had stopped doing their homework. So I tried a few things to encourage the practice on a daily basis. And after a few failures, I guess you would say, I told the kids if all of them would at least attempt their homework Monday through Thursday, then I would sing them a song on Friday. So they did their homework, and then I had to follow up with my end of the deal. And of course, I had a little catalog of karaoke favorites that I did, so I would do that for them, and they were like, wow. Of course, that was a little bit of time ago, and of course, my catalog of singing probably goes back to the 70s and 80s only. So I don't know if I could do that with kids today because, well, they probably wouldn't know the songs that I sang. But back then they would, and oh my gosh, it would make them do their homework. And so I would do that. And I found that to be a way to get those kids to practice their math.
Creative ways with music.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, what got you started in music? When you was little, I know that, you're originally from Michigan, correct?
I'm actually from Ohio, but I got to say, first of all, before I get into that, I got to say, that's a great story. What a great way to motivate kids. Yeah. I was always horrible at math, and maybe if I'd had somebody who mixed in music with math and that sort of thing, maybe I would have done better.
Oh, and
that's a great idea.
Another thing that I would do back during that time. Another thing that I would do back in those days, I would have some kind of pop music tune of the day as they came in and took their seat and were working on whatever before class actually started. And I would try to tie in the song with whatever was going on that day. For example, if we had a lesson on area of circles or circumference of circles, I would find a song that had something to do with round or circles, like Will It Go Round in Circles by Billy Preston. And so they would sit there and do their bell work, as we called it back then, and listen to the crazy tunes that I had attached to the lesson of the day.
Wow.
If I was teaching a lesson in logic, then I did the Logical Song by Supertramp. And so I'd try to connect it somehow.
Wow. What a great idea. Well, that explains why I was never good at math. I never had a teacher that mixed music in. Well, no, Jerry, to answer your question, I got started in piano back when I was, I started piano lessons. I wanted to start a little bit earlier, but my parents didn't think I would kind of stick with it. So I started when I was almost 14 years old, which is kind of late. But I started in classical music. I mean, I loved Beethoven. I remember the first time I heard Beethoven's Fifth. And that ties in with what we do actually now, believe it or not, this many years later. But I loved anything to do with Beethoven or Bach or Brahms or Rachmaninoff or Liszt. And so I took lessons, and I ended up becoming a piano major when I went to college. And I graduated in piano, didn't really know what I wanted to do, stayed out a year, came back and did some postgraduate and then graduate work in music, piano again, and speech. And so then I kind of mixed those two areas, speech and piano, and for years, and even to this day, I still do it. We were just at Furman the other day. I do one-man shows on classical composers, Beethoven, Robert Schumann. I also do one on John Newton, the slave trader that became a Christian and became a minister. So I would travel around to universities or venues like that performing this classical music. I dress up as Beethoven, reenact scenes from his life. And so I was really kind of a classical music, I'm embarrassed to admit it, kind of a snob that way. I never thought there was any great music outside of classical until I got out of grad school and then got introduced to a lot of other stuff.
Now, you're talking about kind of imitating some of the classical composers. Have you done any plays where you've done a musical itself in some of these plays? That sound like you got a little theatrical.
Well, when I was in college, of course, I did I did all the theater work that you know of, Thornton Wilder and Chekhov and a lot of Shakespeare, did piles of Shakespeare. And because I was very interested in that whole acting thing. So I did some of that in high school, but then piles of it in graduate school. And that's what led me into mixing those two areas of acting and music in my one-man shows of Beethoven and Schumann. Because I love the acting and I love the way of presenting a story like Beethoven or Schumann in a way that enables a lot of times kids to see these composers in the perspective of somebody who had a real life, not just a kind of an alienating composer of music that they don't listen to really see what's, created, what spawned his music, what what type of person he was behind the notes. So it was a mixture of the two, Jerry. I loved doing both of those things. I had a rough time decide which I actually wanted to focus on.
Right. Now, when you're teaching some of the, not teaching, but just demonstrating in some of these colleges and going around, do you find out that some of the young people are real interested or are amazed at the classical music versus some of the music today, some of the younger folks use that's kind of, to me, far-fetched. Of course, we look back at everything we growing up saying, oh, that was the best music. If you talk to our parents, they said, no, their music was the best. So it's kind of the generation.
Yeah. No, it's shocking to me. And two parts to that answer, I guess, Jerry. It's shocking to me. I will go into, I've gone into elementary schools, I've gone into high schools, I've gone into colleges, community theaters and that sort of thing. And across the board, it is amazing to me. I will look out there and see these 20-year-old kids that are just riveted to the story of Beethoven. I mean, for the entire hour and 15 minutes that the show goes on, and I usually keep them about 75 minutes. It's amazing when they hear that music and they see the context of that music, like Beethoven's Fifth or the Moonlight Sonata or Beethoven's Ninth, all these pieces that they think would be boring and dry. It is amazing to me, and they will ask questions afterward and just be riveted because in spite of everything that they're kind of used to, something inside of them resonates with really great music. It's kind of like he was talking about a second ago. In the classroom, you would think a lot of times those young kids, it's amazing how many of those kids, even in high school and below, and can really learn to appreciate music that's not of their generation. I mean, we do a lot of Beatles medleys in our front yard, or we'll do Billy Joel, and we'll have young kids coming to the concerts and just loving those songs.
Good stuff.
Songs from the 80s, like you were talking about. I mean, it's just amazing how even young people, something inside of them, if the music is great, no matter if it was written 300 years ago or 3 years ago, they can appreciate it and they can hear it and go, wow, I had no idea I liked that.
Well, Steve, we're going to take a little break right here. We're at that 15 minutes where I got to have my sponsor come up and do a little advertisement for him. And we'll be right back. And you're listening to Steve Ager and Brian Harris, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about the music and the people behind it, and also about some writing music. That's really interesting too. So we'll be back right after.
That sweet aroma, bold and beautiful, I can hardly wait to taste. Early morning, something wonderful is about to make my day.
I love coming here and getting the Amazing Grace coffee, which is delicious, with my friend Barbara Rippey.
I just enjoy coming in here at Elabelle's Cafe to get my drink. It is delicious. The atmosphere is great. And Philip is a very, very nice person to everyone when they come in.
And by the way, I don't know about you all, but I love coming to Ellie Bell for coffee and for having our class. What about you? Yeah, it's a wonderful place to...
I think I'm addicted to the hot chocolate.
I'm addicted to the coffee. Great coffee.
Energize me, come and wake me up. I will wait upon you, Lord. You revive me, come and fill my cup. I want more and more. Give me a good cup of coffee. Give me a word that rocks me. A whole lot.
All right, we're back and with Steve Ager and also Brian Harris. And now, Brian, I know you got all this music right here. Did you ever wanted to play an instrument or write a song or anything like that? I know you listen to all kinds.
When I was in school myself, I was in the band from like, I guess, 5th grade through 9th grade, maybe. Played the trumpet. So I did have a few years where I played some stuff. Like I remember the band back then, we played We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's and Stray Cat Strut.
Oh, okay.
So there were some years during my school that I actually took band back at the days of Lockhart High School.
Did you play the horse?
The song The Horse?
Yes.
I don't remember us playing, but I know the song. That's a great song. Cliff Nobles and Company. Yeah.
So Steve, if you want to try to stump Brian on that music right now, give it a shot.
No, I have a feeling I'd have a hard time stumping him. I have a feeling it sounds like he has a pretty encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of music from a lot of different times.
Just some background for you, Steve. Since I was born, my mom would take me to one of the record stores here in Main Street Union every Saturday pretty much, and we'd pick up a few 45s, and that collection grew and grew and grew, as you might imagine, from the early 70s to the 80s, about the time they stopped making the vinyl back then. But we would go and get anywhere from 3 to 10 45s, and I still have every one of them right now.
Tell him about something. Tell Steve.
Well, at least it was a good.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh no, I was just going to say, at least that was a very great time period for great music being written.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's only a handful of songs that I dislike from the 70s and 80s. Just you could probably count them on two hands at most.
Tell Steve real quickly, Brian, about the cruise and
okay, with all the musicians on it.
Right, he was asking about no, not that the one. He was asking the trivia.
Oh, the trivia. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were that was that cruise too. Back in February of 2020, right before COVID shut everything down, we went on a disco cruise, and they had some disco acts actually on the boat, such as Casey and the Sunshine Band. We saw them, and Sister Sledge, and
really,
oh yeah, Heat Wave. Wow. There was a Bee Gees tribute band. There was a lady that impersonated Donna Summer. Maxine Nightingale was on there. She had a big hit called Right Back Where We Started From. And let's see, Anita Ward, who had the hit Ring My Bell. George McRae, Rock Your Baby. We saw all these people live. There were many of them. But anyway, one of the nights we went down to a music trivia, little game show like thing. And the host of the show at some point said, I've got one that's going to stump everybody in this room. There's nobody going to know this answer. And I thought, well, let me stick my ear out to this question. And the question that he asked was, who had a major hit in 1976 with the tune A Fifth of Beethoven? So I said, let me get my teacher voice and yell out. So I yelled out at the top of my lungs, Walter Murphy. And he said a curse word. Well, somebody does know who this person. I thought, well, why shouldn't you? He had a #1 hit with it. Yeah, he was a one-hit wonder, but it was even on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. How do you not know that song? A Fifth of Beat. Da 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 da. You got to know it. But anyway,
I did not know his name, but I know that.
I knew it. Walter Murphy, and I can still hear him in his reply. I want a ship on a stick or something. I thought it could have been some ice cream or a free meal somewhere. Like that, yeah. Ship on a stick.
Yeah, I got one of those for doing a belly buster. Hey, now, Steve.
Unbelievable.
Steve, you write a lot of your own music, and now when you're writing the music, I know you're writing the words. Do you write the lyrics or the music itself, the notes itself?
Yeah, I actually do. It was kind of funny. I went through a phase years ago where I really became enamored with a lot of Broadway music and older music, like Harry Connick Jr., Michael Feinstein, kind of guys that were kind of almost like retro classic
jazzy
writers. Mm-hmm. And so I went through a phase, just tons of different chords and really rich, sevenths chords and all that type of stuff. So I went through a phase where I actually made a CD of all those songs, Broadway style where the real focus was on melody and that sort of thing. And then over the years, and it's kind of strange how it evolved, but then I really started writing strongly new melodies for old hymns and gospel songs that I liked the words of those hymns and gospel songs, but I didn't always care for some of the melodies. So I started writing melodies for those hymns. And then the more I did it, the more I thought, man, I would really like to try writing my own lyrics. So that's pretty much where I started really getting into heavily writing my own Christian songs and sacred songs. And that became my main focus. That was something that I started doing, and so I started writing dozens and dozens of them.
But what gives you inspiration to write a song? Does it come in the middle of the night to you, or when you're walking? And I know you got something so neat in your backyard that I love, and you've actually got a steeple, a church steeple in your backyard.
Yeah. A few years ago, well, it was a number of years ago now, but my wife was she at that time did a lot of weddings, florals for weddings, and she still does that a little bit. But we were out in Pickens, and there was a church that was getting a brand new steeple. And they had this old steeple sitting on the ground next to it. And we asked them, we said, can you tell us a story about that steeple? They said that steeple was handmade for this church. I don't know, it would have been maybe 100 years ago now. And the guy actually made it. I mean, the windows, they weren't colored, but they almost gave you the feeling of stained glass. And it's a copper top steeple, surrounded by this wood. It's just beautiful inside, obviously handcrafted. They said, and we said, could we buy it from you? They said, yeah, we'll sell it to you. And they sold it to us for a ridiculously low price. It was several $100s.
Wow.
And we loaded it onto a flatbed truck, drove it from Pickens over here, had to rent a crane. We lowered it, we had to raise it above our live oak tree in our yard, bring it over to the middle of the yard, pour a concrete foundation on it, and chain that thing down to the concrete foundation. It's about 30 feet tall. And then we had somebody come over here and make a door in the side of it, put steps up to it, and we actually could sit inside of that. We've got a fan inside of it now and a light, and we turn that thing on sometimes at night, and it's just beautiful. It really is just an amazing thing.
Have you written any songs by sitting out there relaxing and just enjoying the steeple?
Well, years ago I actually did one. I went down and did a show at a university college down in Florida, and that was kind of the inspiration for that. In fact, I called the show The Steeple, and it was a compilation of a lot of my Broadway songs in a story that kind of revolved around some people in a town that knew about a steeple. But most of the songs, Jerry, are just songs that I've come up with over the years. Sometimes I'm lying awake at night, and a melody will come into my head, and I'll go in and record it. Or I'll be out running. I like to run around Greenville, and so I would write words as I went along, and I'd get home and try to write them all down before I would forget. And a lot of them were just inspired by things that are going on currently, current events, or just thoughts that I would have while I was reading the Bible, or, maybe in church or something, or just a conversation that I was having with someone that just kind of spawned, a single idea, like a catchphrase that I would surround the whole the song around that phrase and build a chorus and then verses from it. But it was just a lot of times just things that I was going through in my own life that I was thinking about, especially, things that had to do with the scripture or Christianity that just kind of developed into songs.
Now, I know that I'm going to give your wife a plug here because she is amazing in her crafts. And she designs this jewelry out of antique spoons and forks and stuff like that. Matter of fact, she gave me one for one of my deacons that I give that to, and he still wears it. He loves it. He absolutely just loves it.
Is that right?
Yes. He had tears in his eyes when I gave it to him because he just was overwhelmed. He wears it all the time. uh, he just
so
can't
glad.
he just can't get over how it was made out of a spoon and fork, just regular things. And
Yeah.
and I know she does a lot of flowers and things. When she posts those on there, I says, "Wow, how amazing that is!" I mean, how you get two people together that's got artistic, but in different avenues. And I know that she really helps you a lot, and I'm sure you do her also. But I just wanted to kind of give her a plug in all of her wonderful crafts and things that she does, and just especially the jewelry is beautiful.
Jerry, something I was going to piggyback. I was going to piggyback on something that he said. I think it's amazing how people attach memories to music. There's some songs that you can hear, and it takes you back to a time, be it childhood or an event. It makes you remember, like you'll hear a song and it makes you think of a specific person that maybe had a connection with that song. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that music does with people. You know, as far back as you can go, there's songs that you attach to different events. And I think that's great.
And you can almost, like if a song brings you back to...
Good or bad.
If a song brings you back to something that maybe your mom or your grandmother something was cooking, and you can almost smell.
Oh yeah, I've got a playlist that my mama would jam to in the house back in the day. I can make a playlist. So yeah, I know.
Now,
I think that's definitely true.
Now, Steve, you wrote a particular song, and we're going to do my sponsor one more time here. Well, it's about, like I said, every 15 minutes here. But you wrote a song that has really taken off, and you've been on the television, you've been in schools, and it's found a special place in your heart. And we're going to talk about that. But what I want to do is come back from the commercial, talk very briefly with it, and I want to show the audience the video and let them hear the song, and then we'll come back after that, and you can tell us a little bit about it, okay?
Sounds good, Jerry.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
That sweet aroma, bold and beautiful, I can hardly wait to taste. Early morning, something wonderful is about to make my day.
I love coming here and getting the amazing Grace coffee, which is delicious, with my friend Barbara Rickey.
I just enjoy coming in here at Elabelle's Cafe to get my drink. It is delicious. The atmosphere is great. And Philip is a very, very nice person to everyone when they come in.
And by the way, I don't know about you all, but I love coming to Ellie Bell for coffee and for having our class. What about you?
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to...
I think I'm addicted to the hot chocolate.
I'm addicted to the coffee. Great coffee.
Energize me. Come and wake me up. I will wait upon you, Lord. You revive me. Come and fill my cup. I want more and more. Give me a good cup of coffee. Give me a word that rocks me. A whole
We're talking with Steve Ager and Brian Harris, and we're talking about some music and writing music and all this different things. And Steve, before we went to a commercial, we was talking about a song that you recently wrote, and also a video that was made out of the song. And tell us about some of the artists that's in this video and with you playing this music, and actually the one that even did the video, if you want to kind of give them a little shout out too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. In fact, all those musicians in that video, the Greenville song that you're talking about, they are all part of my group called Steve Ager and Friends. And we are the ones that perform on Friday nights in our front yard and other places as well. But they are all part of that group that I've been playing with now. A lot of them I've known for years. The violinist plays with the Greenville Symphony, Joanna Molfinger. The guitarist is a great friend of mine that also is the head of Miracle Hill Ministry here in Greenville. The drummer is in that video is the principal timpanist of the Greenville Symphony. The cellist is a fantastic musician named Christopher Powell, who has just traveled everywhere, recorded constantly, just one of the most brilliant cellists I've ever played with. And then the violist is a guy named Jeremy Nye, who is just a wonderful improviser. It can just play with anything and make it sound great, even without notes or notation or that sort of thing. So, and the other vocalist there is a woman named McKee, who's just a fantastic singer that we've just started singing with in the last year or so. Just wonderfully talented that way. So it's just a great group of musicians. Some of my favorite people, nice people, but spectacular musicians and soloists in their own right.
Well, that's great. And Steve, we're going to go ahead and play. We're going to play the song now. We're going to play the entire song along with the video, so that way they can watch the video and look how great it is. And then we're going to come back and let you talk a little bit about what inspired you to write this song and what the song meant to you and things like that. How's that?
That sounds great, Jerry.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
All right. We're going to be listening.
Traveled here from far away, but never thought I'd want to stay. The whole wide world was out there calling me. Such a quiet, sleepy town. Then overnight you turned around and showed a whole new side for me to see. More than just a face that's pretty, shining like an emerald city. Can't describe perfection in a poem, but I'm so glad I get to call you home. I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. Can you hear me say, I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and that's where I'll stay. You think I'm crazy, I'm forgetting. Life's just fine if I can live it here in Greenville, South Carolina. Living here I finally found the folks I wanna be around. The family everybody wants to know. Every season is to die for beauty I just can't deny. Your trees and trails blazing quite a show. Skyline that's beyond comparing. I can't keep my eyes from staring. What more could I ask for? Not a lot. When all I need is right here on this farm. I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. Can you hear me say, I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and that's where I'll stay. You think I'm crazy, I'll forget it. Life's just fine if I can live it here in Greenville, South Carolina. I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. Can you hear me say, I love Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and that's where I'll stay. Think I'm crazy, I'll forget it. Life's just fine if I can live it here in Greenville, South Carolina. You think I'm crazy, I'll forget give it. Life's just fine if I can live it here in Greenville, South Carolina.
Greenville, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, can you hear me say?
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, that's right.
We're back, and we're talking to Steve Eger and Brian Harris. And what you just listened to is a song that Steve wrote, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. Steve, what inspired you to write a song about your hometown in Greenville, South Carolina?
Well, thanks for asking that, Jay. I lived for the first part of my life up through high school in Ohio, but then I came down here for college a while back, and I loved the place. I mean, when I was in college, I don't know that I appreciated it that much. I was on campus. I didn't get out and see much. And Greenville was a much different town back then as well. But I went up and taught for a couple of years in Chicago, and I came back down here to Greenville in the 90s, right before it started to grow. And I remember when downtown there was nothing there, and I worked at a hotel downtown, and people would ask, what do we do? And there was nothing to do down there. But then in 96, everything just started to explode. And of course, now you see it now in 2023, and it's just a whole different city. But the longer I lived here, Jerry, the more I just loved it. I mean, I liked the people. I liked the scenery. I liked the fact that it was a beautiful city in so many ways, and yet you could get out into the country in no time at all. I loved the mountains. I loved the seasons. You know, it wasn't like 6 months of cold like it was in Chicago or New York or Ohio where I've lived. So I remember we were doing these concerts, and we would do songs, Carolina and, country roads, West Virginia, songs about other parts of the country. And I thought, Greenville needs a song. And I would jog around Greenville. And I remember coming up, if you know Greenville, near where Haywood Mall is, there's a junction of two roads, and it's at the top of a hill. And you come around the corner, and in the fall, you can see Paris Mountain. Yep. And the leaves were changing, and they're just swirling around. And it is absolutely the most beautiful sight I'd ever seen. So I came home, and I started to write a chorus for it. I just got the idea for the chorus, the melody, keeping it very simple, and then put together some verses in the following days. And we played it at one of my concerts. I think the first time we ever played it was a charity concert that we were doing for something related to Miracle Hill Ministries. And the cellist said, he goes, we need to record that. So we recorded it, and we posted it on YouTube. And it took off. I mean, and that's kind of a long story in and of itself, but it just opened up a lot of doors, different places to go play the song. There were a lot of people I found out that don't like Greenville as much as I do, which was kind of shocking to me. I mean, and I heard about it. There was a lot of hatred for crazy reasons. I'm not quite sure, but it got a lot of views as a result of people being kind of controversial, and we got a chance to, like you said, to go on television stations and schools that would call up, and some really great musicians that I really respected that would message me and give me words of support. And so it was just one of those things where, and people would say, well, you must have been hired to do this. And I wanted to tell people, because there was really a time when there was a lot of anger directed toward the song and toward me personally. And I wanted to tell people, listen, I wasn't hired for this. I mean, I didn't get any money out of this. I funded the whole CD by myself. We had all these musicians donated their time, these incredibly professional musicians, that if they were being hired to play in a session, they would charge, it would surprise you because they're so good. And we had one of the best videographers in Greenville named Jared McKenna do the video. Some of the footage I just filmed on my iPhone at different places around Greenville that I thought were beautiful. So it was just one of those things where it kind of came up at the spur of the moment and just kind of exploded in a way that, you always hope it would, but you never really anticipate that the reality will happen. And so it was just it was a really cool thing. It's opened up a lot of doors, a lot of conversations. I've met a lot of people, and just all sorts of opportunities that have happened because of that song. I mean, it really was just heartfelt. I mean, I love this area.
Well, you're going to get people that, sometimes when they kind of like want to put things down, is either something happened to them in that area or something happened that made them change their mind. Maybe it was themselves, maybe jealousy. Sometimes, that does it too. Maybe someone said, well, I meant to do that or but how did it feel when you watched the children sing your song?
Oh, I will say, that's amazing. And there's really nothing like it. I mean, it's crazy from that standpoint. In fact, we're going back to another elementary school in a couple of weeks to go to several schools, and the teachers would call me and say, the kids have heard this song and they're requesting it all the time. For a year, they're requesting it morning after morning after morning. And I go into these schools and they know the choruses and they sing it back to me, and we've recorded videos with these little, 5th and 6th graders. And I've had, it really, it's heartwarming. I mean, the sweetness, the notes that they write, the pictures that they've drawn. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've had a group of line dancing ladies from a community that have choreographed the song. In fact, they're going to be dancing to this song this Friday while we perform it. So it's been. I had a banjo player record with the song and post it on YouTube, and he's going to be playing with us in October. So it's just opened up. It's been across the spectrum. A guy called me up the other day, and he and his former college roommates, young guys in their 20s, that have started a fantasy football league, and they get together every year. And that was the song that they were posting this year. And they let me do an announcement about some of the draft choices that are going on for their fantasy football league. And I recorded a video for that. And the person and they loved the song. In fact, the guy was telling me how he would be feeling bad and driving down the road and just cranking that song over and over again. And in fact, this year, whoever loses the fantasy football league has to go throughout Greenville and recreate the video themselves.
Oh wow! That's
Jerry, it's been really cool to see how it resonated with all sorts of ages, little kids, 3rd and 4th graders that have these things memorized. Somebody sent me the other day a video of just their 2-year-old kid dancing to the song and wanting to play it over and over again. Oh. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but there's something about it that's just so gratifying.
Well, I think what it is to me, I mean, of course, it's a good song and everything like that, but they're singing something about a town that they live in. They're singing about Greenville, and they live there, and this is my hometown. Steve, have you had any other people in other towns maybe send you a message or called up and say, "Hey, Steve, can you write one for my hometown?"
Well. It's funny. It's funny that I can't believe you actually asked that one. Because I don't think I've ever talked with, and I've hardly ever talked with anybody about that. But what was it when it first came out? Somebody called me up, and we've had people send it to people all across the country. I mean, out to California, and a lady was telling me up to her friends in Vermont. So I mean, it's one of those things where you forget that there are a lot of people that have been in Greenville, love it, but have had to move away. And so the song resonates with them. And I think also just the happy aspect of the song resonates with people, even if they're not from here. But a guy from Texas called me up and he said, if I talked to the city council and they approved it, would you be interested in writing a song for our city? And I said, sure. I haven't heard anything back at this point, but it's one of those things, Jerry, where I'm not quite sure I would even be able to do a good job at it, because it really does have to be organic about, it has to be something that really resonates with your own heart to be able to write a song about a certain city. I don't know that I would do a good job writing a song about a city I didn't know and feel so strongly about.
Right. Now, Brian, you lived in Greenville most
almost
of your life.
20 years.
Yes, most of your life like that.
I was born here in Union and moved away at the age of 32 and came back right before Christmas last year. So nearly 20 years I was in Greenville, so I can relate to the beauty of Greenville. What a wonderful city to live in. The traffic I did not like. But as far as the ambiance and the visuals, like you said, when you ride up on top of the where Haywood kind of meets East North Street and all that, how beautiful that is as you look out and see the view.
Well, Brian, you moved away that many years, and now you move back. And I remember probably 10 years ago or something like that, you was telling me, and then I said, "Oh, it's nothing to do in Union or nothing to do like this. Y'all need to move down here to Greenville where everything's beautiful. And this everything's happened here. You can get here and here." And now as Brian has gotten a little bit older and seeing some of the unique things in our small town, and
I love Union,
and he loves it here. I mean, it's like, no, I don't want to go back down that way. That's to visit. He does that and goes down and visits some of the things that he shops at and drives around. But he came home and he feels like he's back home, And I guess, Steve, that's what you really got to feel. You got to feel that this is your home to really
take me home, country roads. That's it.
Right.
That's the whole feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'll tell you, part of that, I think what Brian's talking about and you're talking about too, is not just Greenville, South Carolina. It's just a wonderful state. I mean, the variety that you have from the mountains and then the ocean and Charleston. And I mean, we have friends that have a cabin on a little pond, a little lake, up near Spartanburg, right inside Union County, and not too far from Buffalo. And we just love going out there. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's like a 127-acre tree farm. And it's just the whole Carolina area is just wonderful. I mean, whether you go up north toward Brevard or Asheville or down south going toward Georgia, all of it is so beautiful. And I'm not blind to the fact. I mean, I've told people, I know Greenville. Greenville's not perfect, and I know the traffic and the infrastructure. It's built up awfully quickly, and that has growing pains attached to it. But I think when you compare Greenville and South Carolina in general to so many other places, in fact, I had a couple call me, young couple. They'd been to a couple concerts, and they just got married, and they wanted to have a Greenville-themed wedding. They both went to Clemson. They love Greenville. And they had this song, Greenville, as a major part of their whole wedding. Wow. And they said that early in their relationship, they traveled all around the country and they saw everything for several months, but they came to Greenville and they said they just realized there was no place they'd been that they liked better than this area. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think there's something special. I really do.
Well, it's like anyone's with a hometown. I've lived here going on close to 30 years, and I lived in North Carolina, and a small town up there. It's about like Lockhart, and I enjoy going back through there, even though it's not the same, but yet it brings fond memories. It brings different emotions, and matter of fact, I'm having a event up there towards the end of this month, and I'm participating in that with the sound, some music, and things like that before. But it's enjoyable to see. It's almost like a reunion. You're seeing people come back you hadn't seen in a while, and and it makes it great. Well, Steve, we're going to do one last commercial here. We're getting close. Time flies when you're having fun and having great conversation. And we've got about 5 more minutes after this ad right here. So we'll be back right after this minute, and we'll be closing out and listen to some final thoughts from Steve and Brian.
That sweet aroma, bold and beautiful, I can hardly wait to taste. Early morning, something wonderful is about to make my day.
I love coming here and getting the Amazing Grace coffee, which is delicious, with my friend Barbara Rickey.
I just enjoy coming in here at Ep31's Cafe to get my drink. It is delicious. The atmosphere is great. And Philip is a very, very nice person to everyone when they come in.
And by the way, I don't know about you all, but I love coming to Ellie Bell for coffee and for having our class. What about you?
I do too.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to...
I think I'm addicted to the hot chocolate.
I'm addicted to the coffee. Great coffee.
Energize me, come and wake me up. I will wait upon you, Lord. You revive me, come and fill my cup. I want more and more. Give me a good cup of coffee. Give me a word that rocks me. A whole lot.
Okay, we're back, and you're seeing Brian Harris here. And Brian, you was talking about an interesting thing about one of your friends as teachers and how she turned music into something.
Or content.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for many years while I taught at Malden Middle, I had the pleasure of working with some great teachers there. And one of the English teachers that I worked with for many, many years, who's retired now and lives in Georgia, her name is Beth Richardson, giving Beth some props here. But one of the things that Beth would do in her middle school 7th grade class when she got to her poetry unit was the fact that she would have all of the teachers on her team pick the song that had the most beautiful or inspirational lyrics that we were fond of. So all of us would, give them our tune, and then she would have them, printed out on some paper or something, and her classes would analyze these songs as if it was a work of poetry, because really a song is a work of poetry if you think about it. So
absolutely.
Many years I would go back to the song by Joni Mitchell that's called Both Sides Now. If you read the lyrics of that, what a beautiful song that is. And she was a big Donny Osmond fan, so she probably had something of Donny Osmond in her poetry list. And one of the teachers would pick like Fleetwood Mac's Landslide, which has some deep rooted lyrics in that. So I just thought that was a good activity to incorporate pop music into poetry. And then, of course, after you do something like that, they're more enticed to look at the, traditional poetry at that point because they can connect with music.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Steve. Steve, what is one of your favorite? What is one of your favorite songs, and who is one of your favorite artists that you love? This just really get you inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's several of them. I mean, if to go back to, this sounds like a cliche, and this is probably, what so many people would say. The Beatles are amazing to me. I mean, their lyrics and their melodies are just incredible. We have several medleys that we do of Beatles songs. The cello medley that the cellist has all the melodies, and then a couple vocal medleys. But they never cease to amaze me. The variety and their harmonies and the chord structures and everything are just amazing to me. My two other favorite probably that have had some of the biggest influence on me is a current songwriter. He's come to the Peace Center a couple times. His name is Ben Rector, and he wrote a few years ago a huge song that was everywhere for a while called Brand New. And he's just a brilliant. He's a young guy. I mean, he's in his 30s, but he writes these songs that are so nostalgic about childhood and people that he's known from the past. We went to his concert at the Peace Center, and just hundreds, thousands of college kids that are singing at their full volume to song after song after song, standing on their feet. It's just amazing how there's something about his melodies and his lyrics that resonate with people. He's not a major label artist. I think he's really an indie guy, but absolutely love his music, Ben Rector. And then, of course, on the big stage, the people that I would look up to the most as far as from so many different standpoints is the group One Republic. Ryan Tedder is the songwriter, and he's written songs like Secrets and Apologize and Counting Stars. And he's written, of course, for Adele and Beyonce and all sorts of the Jonas Brothers. He wrote Sucker. So he's one of my favorite songwriters as well. I admire him from a vocal standpoint, and he's a great pianist, and his songwriting ability is just second to none.
Well, great, Steve. Now, before we end up here, we got about another minute here. Now, what is your favorite song?
My favorite song?
I know you got many of them, but what is your your favorite?
Well, while he is thinking, I'll tell you what mine is. The perfect pop song to me goes back to 1977. Andy Gibb, younger brother of the Bee Gees. There is no better pop song than I Just Want to Be Your Everything. It still sounds great today, but it has the perfect beat, melody, just great. Andy Gibb, I Just Want to Be Your Everything.
I'll have to look that one up. I know I've heard that.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
I can't just place it off the top of my head. Yeah,
I'm sure you have.
Wow. Oh, that's a great. Well, I guess if I had to name two songs off the top of my head that I never get tired of playing and listening to are Drops of Jupiter by Train and then Love Runs Out by One Republic. There's something about them that just, they're the most fun songs to listen to. I love the vocals on them. And there's something, the Drops of Jupiter is a thought on the author, Patrick Monahan, wrote it about his mother. Just powerful song.
Well, great. Well, Steve, I really appreciate you coming on with us this evening and talk about your music. And maybe God bless you, continue in your writing. And, you know, I know your yard concerts. Unfortunately, my time is all over the place.
We've seen the video footage. It's great.
Yes.
I love how you sing some Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, with some Top Gun medley. What was it, Danger Zone or something? Oh, yeah, that was great.
Just a variety of stuff. You can hear anything from the oldies to classical to Imagine Dragons and Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, and you can go on Facebook and Steve Eager's music and find him there. So you can find out when the next concert
and you
is.
Can go on to. You can also find if you go to Steve Eager Music on YouTube. You can see a lot of our songs and original compositions there as well.
All right. Well, Steve, you have a great night, and thank you again for being on our show. And we will see everyone next week. We have another guest coming up, and you'll find out towards the end of the week when I post it. As I like to give you a little bit of mystery there. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for watching Prime Time, and we will see everyone